Greetings. So welcome to Conversations with Nickie Brown. I know I've changed the name of my YouTube channel a few times, um, but you have to be willing to change in order to see what works best. And so that is what I've been doing. I have removed some videos, doing my best to stay focused on the channel being about conversations. Although I do believe I still have my meditation videos, yoga videos, and some other spiritual videos about the chakras. Not sure if I removed those. Today, I have a confession. So, years ago, I've had therapy. I never really felt like it worked, right? But I decided to give it a try again because the employer I work for, allows you to have a certain amount of sessions for free. And I went into it thinking like, okay, at least I'll have somebody to talk to. But in hindsight, after I've had my like fourth session with her, and I think she said we can do 12 or something like that, like spread it out over the course of the year. So I'll meet with her once a month. So yeah, I've met with her 4 times. And I guess my energy was a little off. I was feeling a little indifferent about something. I've always been the type of person, and I get it now, like when you grow up experiencing trauma, people with trauma are attracted to you, whether it's a low level of trauma or a high level of trauma. Kind of like hoarders, like there's different levels of it. Like maybe it could be anything. Usually comes from childhood though, and typically people carry that trauma into the present, whether they know it or not. And even if they feel like they've healed, a lot of times triggers still come up. And for myself, having, become a master certified life coach and a yogi, and using those spiritual principles to shape the way that I now do things. Although, of course, we're all human, I still get triggered. But I was thinking, okay, I know that I've been working on my limiting beliefs and my abundance mindset. But sometimes life happens and we find ourselves in the same or a similar situation. And so then when you're in those moments, it's challenging to be in an abundance mindset and to be grateful and thankful. But majority of the time, I manage to do that, right? Because how I feel on the inside is not a reflection of what's going on in my outer world, even if it's considered to be chaos or turmoil, right? Unsettled, unbalanced. So I'm talking to the therapist. And again, I guess, during our last session, my energy was a little off because I had some concerns on my mind. And, the topic of discussion has basically been the same from start to finish. But she made the comment that, oh, what's wrong? Your energy seems off this week. I usually rely on you to bring my energy up. Maybe not her exact words, but that was the gist of it. And I was like, yeah, I know. And that's basically where I was going with it. Like, I've been that for so many people for so many years, even prior to getting my life coach certification or my yogi certification. I've always been a good listener, right? And, I've always given good advice. And I used to say, well, how come people who are married come to me for advice and I'm not even married? But some people have their own principles, or they follow a certain code. And whatever your code is, maybe you code switch, and not just, in language, but, maybe you code switch, and depending on who you're in the company with, you may behave a different way. Not even, it doesn't even have to be anything extreme. Like maybe, in front of your mom, you don't drink alcohol, but in front of your friends, you do drink alcohol. Like it could be something, as simple as that. But anyway, there's a different behavior. But I do my best to carry myself well with a good character, and I appreciate the fact that people admire that. The thing about it is it's time, right? I give people my time, and time is something that you can't get back. And really, for your time in a capitalist society, the energy exchange should be money, or at least some type of bartering. And sometimes people feel like the value of what they provided to you is worth them milking you and using you as often as they deem fit, which is not fair, because there's never even a discussion about it. And again, this is time. And so if you want money in exchange for your time, then ask for that. If you're okay with bartering in exchange for your time, then ask for that. Don't just manipulate someone or force someone to pay you back, right? That's not good communication. It's not good customer service. It's a lack of integrity because it's deceptive and it's dishonest. So, again, there are just certain principles that some people operate in and some people don't. And within those principles, and no one's perfect, sometimes a person will apply it to one person and they won't to another. Like, for example, a man may apply it to a woman that he's intimate with, but won't to any other woman, except for maybe his mom or his sisters or something like that. Like, there are men who will hold the door open for all the women he sees, and there are some that'll just open it for his woman and let it close in the door, or maybe like push it open a little bit, for any woman who might be behind him, or any man for that matter. So people operate differently, and it's based on learned behavior typically. But again, most people are paid for their time, right? And yes, I can show you how to operate more from a joy perspective. And that is going to attract a lot of things. Not just money. It's going to attract better people, but the same kind of people at the same time. So you still have to use your discernment and your judgment to, decide who's really a friend or who really, is maybe a potential spouse. And give it time. Like, sometimes we rush into getting to know people, but pay attention to people first. Don't just jump in. Don't just jump in. Give yourself time, because sometimes people can pretend for a long time. A lot of times people will pretend that they're interested in what you're interested in just so that they can get closer to you, and then they'll change and become who they really are over time. So you have to just watch for those little signs. But again, I'm thankful to help people. I'm glad I have the gifts that I have to help people. And the universe does compensate me very well in various ways. Again, that's not always monetary. That's, having your basic needs met. Food, clothing, shelter, water, even love. Some people don't like the word self-love, but you can think of it as self-care or say self-maintenance. When you take care of yourself genuinely, the inside of you and the outside of you. So not just getting your hair cut or, your hair and nails done, your lashes, but what are you eating? What are you drinking? Are you exercising? Are you, getting an adequate rest? Adequate water, and it's majority of that water coming from fresh fruits and vegetables, or mainly fresh fruits. The watery kind, like watermelon and peaches, are in season right now, or about to be in season for May coming up. We have so much. We've been getting rain, not a whole lot of rain, but we should have some good harvests coming up here with watermelons. And what else is summer fruit? Plums, peaches. Is it apricots or nectarines? Those are summer fruits too, aren't they? Strawberries are sweeter in the summer. Mangoes too, depending on where you get them from. But since mangoes aren't really native to the continental portion of the United States, uh, they don't grow as sweet as they do like in the Caribbean. Such a big difference. Anyway, but yeah, I'm thankful that I'm able to motivate people and make people feel good and make people want to feel good about themselves or do better or be better. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I have that gift and ability. But again, just keep in mind that it comes from my trauma, and then a lot of times trauma is attached to other things like your money, your health. And sometimes it's not easy to separate yourself from the way that you were born and raised, whether that be behaviorally or financially. Um, like if you're like you usually rise to the level of which you've been. So if you're someone who haven't lived in a house since you were a child, you're striving to get back into a house. Although you may find it challenging. But then, it's our mindset, because it's challenging to, rise above the mindset that we were raised in. What were those limiting beliefs? Money doesn't grow on trees. I don't have enough. I can't. We can't. Um, or you're eating something for dinner that you don't really want because that's all you have. Or you're holding on to toilet paper or clothes or shoes or something that you didn't have in abundance of when you were a child because you're afraid that, you'll be in that situation again. So this is all scarcity mindset, and a lot of us do these things in different ways, and we don't realize that we're continuing the cycle of a scarcity mindset. Yes, we do need budgets, but then we don't need to be so tight with the money that we block money from coming to us. We want to be open. We want to love money. We want money to love us, to be so attracted to us that it just, wants to just jump into our arms. It makes sweet love to us, but again, not from a point of, I gotta have it, I need it, but more of a relax, like, I know it's coming, and being thankful and just continuing to enjoy life. Like, life is not about, the current circumstance that you're in based on the capitalist society you live in. Because it's a false sense of reality. It's the Matrix. There's a desire for us to be stressed and worried. But that continues to keep us in a state of lack. And this is known, which is why these tools and tactics have been used for centuries. So get out and enjoy life. Take your shoes off. Go to the beach. Walk barefoot in the sand, on the dirt. Look up at a tree. Actually admire a squirrel. Don't try to kill it with your BB gun. Just it's a it's a creature of the Most High. Like, watch it. They're fascinating creatures to watch. Don't just think of them as like a pesky rodent. Even pigeons. I'm not sure if people know the story of the carrier pigeon. Pigeons used to be carrier pigeons. They would send, deliver messages. And it's like once humans no longer needed them because they have, you know, couriers and then the post office, you know. Now we got FedEx, Amazon, DHL, all kinds of delivery services. Now that we don't need them, they've just been abandoned. And so now they just roam large cities and eat, the scraps off the ground because were used to being fed. You know, go deliver this message. Here's a treat for your service. No different than a dog would be. People still train birds, you know, so this is not uncommon. It's just that, again, the pigeons no longer have a use, so now they're, just roaming the cities, but we abandoned them. They were rejected by us because they were no longer of use to society because of technology and in the Industrial Revolution. And some people are going to say, oh, I don't care, and I get it. But some people some of you may take it into consideration, when you see a pigeon. Like, that used to be a messenger. That's how messages used to be delivered, via carrier pigeon. So is it fair for us to kick at them? Or I've never done that. I've only tried to feed them, but then certain cities don't want you to feed them, or they may have a certain area where they want you to feed them. At least that's how it used to be back in the day, when I grew up, where I grew up. Because I used to like to feed the pigeons. But anyway, it's funny how the Most High is using me as a vessel. The ancestors are using me as a vessel to be there for other people. And I get it. It's just sometimes it's challenging because, I think the human side of me is like, what about me? But then the spiritual side is like, what about you? It's not about you. This is not about you. This is about you awakening other people and what do they call it? Activating people, which will allow them to open up and become the best versions of themselves. I'm thankful for the donations and the support. And as always, love y'all. Later. Mwah.